This is WAAY 31 Law Call.
Good evening and welcome to WAAY 31 Law Call. I'm Sharon Dovia. Tonight we've got a special show. We're talking about the Deschler High School student that was severely injured under questionable circumstances. This is your chance tonight to call in. You can be live on the air. Call in 256-536-0077. You can call in and talk to us live. You can also text us your questions to that same number and be anonymous if you'd like to. Text 256-536-0077. You can also email questions. You can email a question on any legal topic any day of the week. Send it to lawcall@waaytv.com and we pull some out for shows, including tonight's show. So welcome tonight. Will League is here from Timberlake, League and Brooks, getting us started. Also, Tim Gann from the District Attorney's Office. He's been there for years and years, and before that he was a police officer, but he's been in charge of the investigation. We're going to talk through that. We'll get us started. So for people who have been under a log somewhere, what are we talking about?
Tragic case. You've got a young man at school, at high school, freshman, in a safe place, around his teammates, at practice, at a school where we all want our kids to be safe. And whether it be, there's many different scenarios as to what may have happened. And we're going to try and go through the facts tonight and try and get some answers. There are, first off, we got a young man, somebody's child, somebody's baby. That's a young man who's injured, and the community surrounding him and trying to lift him up with love and support. All those things are honorable, and just we wish him a speedy recovery. And just a tragedy, and just with him and the family are dealing with is just so sad, and everybody here, the heart goes out in thoughts and prayers to them. There are, first it happened in August. Young August Borden was at football practice, and there's reports that he was bear hugged by one of his teammates and fell limp, was let go, and either stumbled forward or fell, striking his head, suffering a horrific injury. And we're going to talk about the case tonight from the most innocent conduct from the student of interest, and then move on to the most guilty or sinister conduct, whether it was a playful teammate accident or whether it was a bully situation. And I think we can all agree, no one can stand a bully, and that raises protective from a parent standpoint, from an honorable person standpoint, all those things. And from the most innocent aspect of this, what if it was an accident and they're horsing around like kids do, and this student of interest is now getting death threats? The students who testified are now being called liars. The parents of those 5 students, you got 10 parents out there that have told their kids or allowed those boys to lie. And so there are competing interests in this case. Now, the most innocent conduct, and we'll talk about the investigation in a moment, but let's assume right now, and then we'll assume it was a bully situation. But the most innocent of conduct, then we look at, is there criminal charge to be had, and is there a civil? I specialize in civil law, and we have Deputy District Attorney Tim Gann, who has agreed to come up and answer questions about this very sensitive topic of the injury of this young man and the investigation that followed and how it got to the Madison County District Attorney's Office. And, first off, Attorney Gann, thank you, District Attorney Gann. Thank you for coming up. Thank you so much. I know you've been under, you've had a lot of investigation and a lot of things. So tell us about what your office, how you got the case, and what you guys have done.
Sure. When the case happened, we were not involved at all. I was aware of it just because of Facebook. But as the event started unfolding, the investigation, the district attorney over there knew people involved, and felt like it was in his best interest and the community's best interest to recuse. He gave us a call to see if we would consider handling it. Our DA, Rob Broussard, said of course. So that goes through the Attorney General's office. So the Attorney General appointed us to do the investigation on the case.
So it's not a situation where that DA calls you guys, we all take it. It goes to AG, and then they select you guys.
That's right. Okay. The Attorney General is the one who is in charge of selecting who does it. They chose us, and we agreed to do it, so that's how we got involved in it.
Okay. And so you guys have looked at witness statements from 5 students, from a coach, and from 2 other adults that were there on the scene, as well as text messages from the students to their parents right after the conduct, correct?
That's right. When we started this investigation, we sent 2 investigators over there. They had some preliminary witness statements. They set those folks down, the students and the coach and 2 adults that saw it. All these were eyewitnesses, and they interviewed them. 30-minute interviews, I listened to all of them. And that's how we got started on the case. You know, we're focused on what we can prove. And so we're wanting to talk to people who actually saw something. Okay. There was a lot of chatter out on the internet, and there was a lot of chatter just in general, rumors. And, you know, we can't operate off rumors. We have to find who saw it and look at the hard evidence. We got to look at the conduct of what's going on, and that's the direction we went. So once we found the eyewitnesses, they gave us names of other witnesses. There was a tip line set up by the family. We responded to some of those. Right. Everyone who saw it, who we had information, we talked to them.
Okay. There's a rumor going around that there was a video of, I don't know if they think they saw the fall or whether there's some rumor about seeing other kids jump on the child after he fell. Have you seen any video? Is there video?
I have not seen any video. Okay. I'm not aware of any video. If there is any,
you'd love to see it, wouldn't you?
I'd love to see it. Yes.
What did the witness statements that you got from the students, from the coach, and from the 2 adults, what evidence did that reveal?
That evidence, what we talked about in the press conference, these 2 boys were not close friends, but they didn't have anything against each other. One's an upperclassman, one's a freshman. As a group, they have been joking and laughing about a certain topic for about 2 weeks. And earlier in the day, they were joking about it. They had just worked out. They were walking back to the field house to watch some film, and they're still joking about it. They're walking in a group. The entire football team got turned loose at one place, and they're walking to another place, and they're walking in a group of 5.
Right.
They're joking, they're laughing, and at some point, the student of interest steps behind August and bear hugs him. Now, by all accounts, it's not a real tight bear hug. He's not squeezing him. He's not picking him up.
Are they walking at the time?
They are walking in step, yes. Okay. And they are both laughing and cutting up. Regular horseplay is what it sounded like. All the witnesses, every one of them that saw that, said the same thing. They're laughing, they're joking, and at some point, pretty quickly, because he was only wrapped up 2 to 3 seconds from what everybody said. August went limp, that he passed out. We don't know why he passed out. It could have been an underlying medical condition. He could have had a vagal response. Nobody really knows. And as far as our purposes, the reason he passed out is not as important as the conduct. We're looking at what the conduct was that could have caused him to pass out. And what we had, what the witnesses says, was a bear hug.
So the criminal intent.
Right.
What is that with regards to, in my mind, I'm like, well, you know, that's my boy, that's my child. Don't put your hands on him. So I'm thinking to myself, maybe he squeezed him so hard for a long enough time to where he may have passed out. And to me, that could be criminal conduct and civil liability.
That is correct. And under the criminal conduct, that would fall under harassment. Okay. And that means you touch somebody, you kick or shove or otherwise touch somebody with the intention to harass them or annoy them or alarm them.
Okay.
So if it's not those 3, then it's not criminal conduct. In this instant, the evidence that we had was not that he was trying to harass him or scare him. They were joking and laughing. So it would be me and you sitting here laughing and carrying on, and I touch you. That's not criminal. But if I touch you and threaten you, or if you take it as a threat, or if I'm acting aggressive, that is against the law. Okay. But it's the details are important because we have elements we have to prove. Right. Not just that he got touched, but he had to get touched in a way that it was an intentional act to either harass him or threaten him or alarm him.
Okay. If the evidence reveals, and I hadn't seen all the evidence, but if it reveals that, it still could be a civil liability from my standpoint to where, okay, that's negligent conduct. Don't touch anybody. And if you do, you could be liable for civil assault and battery, which doesn't have the criminal intent. intent. Now, let's move on to, let's say it's a bullying situation, and this is a younger classmate, and he's picking on this kid, and he jumps on him, and the evidence reveals that. Because, you know, when I first saw it, I'm like, hey, you're picking on an underclassman? That ain't right. I understand they were around the same size, but still, you know, that you don't do that. And if that's the case, what are the charges that can be brought in that scenario?
Now we're talking about a whole different scenario here. If we're talking about a bully situation where there is aggression, there is more than just a touching. There is something that actually intentionally causes those injuries. He intentionally picks him up, throws him down, or punches or kicks him, and it causes severe injury. And there's no question that August had severe physical injury in this case. There's no question about that. So if there is an intention to cause those injuries, that's felony behavior.
Okay.
And that's a assault, what's called assault second, and that's a Class C felony.
But you didn't see that?
No,
that didn't happen.
There was no sign of intent because they're laughing when the incident happens. He lets go of him, and he takes a step, stumbles, and falls.
Okay.
And the fall is what actually did the damage.
Okay.
What about, okay, if the doctors say this is consistent with a trauma or consistent with an assault, does that change anything?
It really doesn't, because you're talking about the injury. Where a doctor would come into play here is we have to determine if there's serious physical injury or not under the law.
Right.
Not how it happened. We got how it happened from witnesses. A doctor can say this is serious physical injury by he's got broken bones. So that would fulfill one of the elements that we would have in assault second, serious physical injury.
Right.
But a doctor cannot say, unless he saw it, who did it or how it happened.
Let's see if we can get a question. And I don't have a name. Do we have a name? We've got a lot of callers, and we got a lot of text questions coming in. Donovan, is it Donovan? Hi, Donovan. Thanks for waiting and for your question tonight. What's your question tonight? Hey, Donovan, are you with us? I think we lost a microphone or an earpiece. Donovan, are you still with us? Okay. Caller, are you with us? Trying to get folks in. Okay. If doctors, everybody keeps texting about the doctor question. Did you interview any doctors?
I didn't interview any doctor, but I actually listened to the doctor examine Austin.
Okay.
And I listened to what he said about the injuries, and he said they were consistent with assault. I absolutely agree that these injuries are consistent with assault.
Okay.
Where the injuries happen, the seriousness of them, I have no issue with what the doctor says, that they are consistent with assault. Unfortunately, a doctor cannot say who did it or how it happened, but he can say, hey, this looks like an assault to me. Fair enough.
What were his injuries? And they're going to make us take a break in just a second. What were his injuries? Facial?
Facial, both orbitals fractured.
Ooh. And you think from falling down the stairs?
Based on what we saw, where the main injury happened here, kind of like this, when they described him falling off to the left, and he was unconscious, so he couldn't break his fall.
Okay.
The first thing that hit was his face, and it was significant. Those kids all said they will never forget how that sounded when he hit the concrete. So it was a horrible fall.
Were there multiple traumas? Was there one trauma, or was there several?
Well, there were several broken bones, but all in the same area. Like he didn't have one over here and one over here and one over here. They're all in the same facial area, and you can see, unfortunately, on the pictures where the impact hit initially, which was on the left side.
Did all the kids say he had another blow other than the first initial one?
No. Nobody said he had another blow. There was testimony that he went into a seizure, and one of the coaches says, look, he was having a seizure, his head was moving around, and the thing I tried to do was stabilize it because he was moving so hard.
After the fall.
After the fall, yeah. So he didn't want him to have any other injury. Yeah. So he's there trying to stabilize his head, which is what he's supposed to do.
Last question before we go to break. If there was some type of, the attorneys for the Borden family are talented, smart attorneys, know what they're doing. It's a civil case. They're going to get testimony, and they're going to find more witnesses, or they're going to interview all the witnesses. If they find additional evidence, is your office open to review that evidence and keep the case open?
Absolutely. Look, all of the witnesses out there that actually saw supposedly that he got assaulted and kicked and all that. I would love to talk to those folks. I haven't heard anything from them, but if they come forward and can swear that they saw it, I would love to hear from them.
Okay.
But unfortunately, I have not heard any of that.
Okay, we've got callers waiting. We've got, if you hear the dinging, that's text questions coming in. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back answering more of your questions about this and getting some of your calls in. Stay tuned.
You're watching WAAY 31 Law Call. Your rights, your calls, live. Presented by the Tennessee Valley's award-winning personal injury and wrongful death law firm, Timberlake, League & Brooks. Featuring the knowledge and experience of Attorney Michael Timberlake, Attorney Will League, Attorney Heath Brooks, Attorney William Maservi, and hosted by broadcaster and family law attorney Sharon Doviet. This is WAAY 31 Law Call.
Welcome back to 31 Law Call. I'm Sharon Doviet. Tonight we're talking about the Deschler High School student that had severe injuries under mysterious circumstances back in August. And the Madison County District Attorney's Office was charged with investigating that because there's a conflict of interest with Colbert County. So Tim Gann is here from the Madison County District Attorney's Office. He's the Chief Deputy DA. Will League is here from Timberlake, League & Brooks. And we're taking calls and questions. We've got folks online on the phone ready. Donna, thanks for calling in. What's your question or comment about it tonight? Hey, Donna, are you still with us? What's your question or comment tonight? Do we have Donna? How about Cindy? Cindy, are you with us tonight? What's your question or comment?
Can you hear me?
There you are. Yes. Hi. Which one are you? Are you Donna or Cindy?
Cindy.
Hi, Cindy. Thanks for calling in. What are your thoughts tonight?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I was just wondering why it wasn't looked into that the boy who actually did the bear hug was the state champion wrestler for Deschler in 2021. It's very well known in the wrestling community that a bear hug is a submission hold. It is to either tap out your opponent or render them unconscious, which is exactly what happened.
Okay.
That's a good question.
What was the question?
Okay, so she says the person who hugged the student of interest was a state champion wrestler, and the bear hug is an act of submission, a move of submission, and that it would normally disable somebody. That's exactly what it's intended to do in wrestling. So she's saying, doesn't that show you some intent? They knew what they're doing.
Well, I do think it could show intent, but based on what the witnesses told us, he didn't do it in an aggressive manner.
Okay.
If he had have done it in an aggressive manner, even squeezing him or even picking him up, that changes things, but there's no evidence of that according to the witnesses. The witnesses say that he grabbed him lightly, he didn't even squeeze very hard, and they were laughing as I think that's the key, that they are laughing as this is going on. If it was something serious, somebody was in great pain or distress, I don't think they would be laughing about it. And the issue is all the witnesses say the same thing. So even, let's say, for example, he was squeezing him to death, like an anaconda, and the witnesses say he wasn't, that doesn't leave me anywhere to go. I deal with what the evidence says. I deal with what people tell me happened or what I can prove. And if they say they were laughing, they were laughing.
Could all the students have gotten together and formed a false story and covered it up?
You know, and there's a text question about, did they get together and sign an NDA? Do you have any evidence of that?
I have no evidence of that. No evidence of that. Look, these kids didn't have to talk to us. We reached out to them, and their parents brought them into us. As far as the first question, as far as was this kind of a get-together, let's form a story?
Yeah.
Most of these kids were text messaging their parents real time when this happened.
And you saw those texts?
We have those texts.
All right,
yes.
so here's one end. Did the witnesses say August was laughing himself?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, he was.
August was laughing. They were laughing together.
We got another caller. What's that name? Okay, we've got an anonymous caller. Anonymous caller, can you hear us? What's your question or comment tonight?
Is it me?
I think it is. What's your question or comment tonight? Thanks for calling in.
I'm sorry. I didn't know that I signed up as anonymous. My name is Misty, and I'm from Texas.
Hi, Misty. Thanks for calling. What are your thoughts on this tonight? And, of course, don't say anybody's names or, that kind of thing.
Okay,
but tell me what you're thinking.
Let's just say this was an accident and all the kids were laughing and he just got this severely injured from a fall. Let's just say this is truly what happened.
Okay.
Wouldn't you think as a school and a community, they would come together and support August, have prayer, you know, I have a grandson that plays football too. He plays high school football. And we had one of our players that got hurt, and we wore shirts in support. So can you not see how everyone across the nation sees this as a cover-up? Because normal people in normal communities would get behind this family. They would support this family. They would show that they cared for this family. But they are mocking this family. Has he seen? Ask Mr. Gann what he thinks about the beat the case.
That's a good point. There was some social media post, and that raised my blood pressure.
Yeah.
Beat the case. Beat the case.
Yeah, and initially when I saw it, it raised my blood pressure.
Right.
And look, let me just say this. When this whole thing happened, it raised my blood pressure. I went over there with a thought in mind of
We're going to find who did this.
We're going to find out who did this.
Yeah.
And so let me get back to the post.
Yeah.
It raised my blood pressure, and I said something to some folks in the office about it. And people who are more tech savvy than me says, look, he didn't post that. That was tagged from somebody else. Okay. And we don't know when that picture was taken. So kind of slow your roll. And I was like, okay. All right. Because, look, this is an emotional case. I understand why people are emotional about it, because I am as well. And that stirred my emotion. But take a time out. Let's think it through. Evidently, he did not post it. It was posted to him by someone else. And who knows when the picture was taken, and even if he consented to it or not. I don't really know.
Is there something unusual about how the community is reacting? And does that affect your investigation in some way?
That has nothing to do with my investigation. And really, we didn't get involved in that. We are tasked to look at criminal conduct. And as far as all the community and all the other issues, I know it is... It strained the community, but we weren't tasked to deal with that.
You know, and back to that one question, I'm getting a lot of texts, I don't know if it's true or not, said he wasn't a wrestler. But when you hug someone, bear hug or not, playful or not, you know, if it was hard enough to cause him to pass out, that's criminal conduct. If it's not hard enough and it's playfulness, it's an accident and civil libel from my standpoint.
Absolutely.
And so when you're bear hugging, first off, keep your hands off people. I get it, kids do it, but it's not okay. But if he's hugging him and he passes out, does the student of interest have to foresee that might be something that happened? Yes, and now we're talking about kind of reckless conduct. Okay. Which is a separate charge that we looked at. A reckless assault would mean that there's a substantial risk that hugging somebody would cause them to pass out, and these injuries would happen. Okay. By all accounts, I don't know that this result is foreseeable from a bear hug from behind. Okay. Especially where they were walking down the sidewalk. They weren't on stairs. They weren't on an elevated area. They're walking downstairs. So if it's foreseeable that the result could happen, and you disregard that, then that's reckless conduct for us under the criminal world. And I don't think there's any way. I think it was a shock to everybody, and even the folks who are saying there's no way this injury happened because of a bear hug. And I believe that too, not intentional anyway.
Okay. I think they're telling us to take a break. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back answering more of your questions about the Deshler High School incident. You know, we just got a text in, and there was a question about, supporting, the family from the Deshler High School students. And there was a text came in and said, they certainly want to support this young man, but they're calling these kids that this particular texter loves and supports and knows that they're not murderers. And so that's been, on the other side. What if it was an accident? There's so much. And so this is a heartfelt. Look, there's some innocent kids who are trying to tell the truth. I get it. There's some facts that don't really line up,
You know, but I know you're doing the best you can. And
got a hard job.
And you know, Tim, thanks for coming up and answering some hard
thank
questions.
you very much.
Happy to be here.
And more about this tomorrow on the Midday Show. Will's going to be back, and so we'll be talking more about this. Thanks for all your calls and questions tonight.